This is a show we taped last October. And honestly, the shit we said about COVID probably would have resulted in a ban from social media. But now, a mere 8 months later, it's what they're saying on the TV news. The Russia stuff in the last segment, from only 8 months ago as well, I'll let you be the judge of that one.
Welcome back.
We're on live. We're on live, Carmen.
Doing it live.
October 18th, I believe, isn't it? Is it the 18th? Something like that? Sunday, anyway.
Somebody's lying about something. It's the same. All right.
So, we're going to start with our normal COVID update.
And it's quite gray today, and I feel your vibe. You are ready.
I'm going to gray it up, man. Well, I know I do.
How do you block out the sun?
I don't know. The minute it was like so fucking hot out when I was walking over here because I have jeans on. And like, just like the minute I get inside, it goes gray and cool. I can't explain it, man.
Bill Gates or Elon Musk are going to contract you.
Yeah, they could do, man.
I'd say you're blessed.
Yeah, it's like a Chris Isaac video.
You're blessed.
Chris Isaac?
Yeah, Wicked Games. Gray. Without like all the random, like, rolling around sexy stuff.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that photo conference.
Now that I'm
we appreciate that.
Ruben, I can say Elena Christensen as a Danish lady is the best person you want to roll around in the grayness.
Okay. Yeah, rolling in the gray.
This thing's on.
Is this thing on?
Yeah. So typical bullshit we talk about every week.
Yeah.
This is like week 3010 of the COVID update.
Yeah, COVID, the basketball player, what's his name?
Kyle Irving, is it?
Yeah, I think so, something like that. I was reading a story about it. He's not, they're not letting him play. And I'm wondering if he's got a case, against them because they're telling him he can't play. He's not fulfilling his contract. Surely he's got a contract.
I would say that he should be able to get paid out for that.
I think so. So hopefully he gets paid out.
And people... I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I was looking on Instagram a couple days ago. They were like, this dude's so not compassionate and he's a piece of shit. Why can't he think for something else? And then I'm looking into this thing and this post was like, read about this dude. He donated $250,000, he donated 250,000 Thanksgiving dinners. He sent I think 100 kids to university. He's donated 40 million. I don't even know how many millions. I was like, I don't think he's
But it sounds like he's given up what he's making to be in solidarity with people that are not getting paid because they don't want to be vaccinated. But he's giving up literally $1 million a day, and I hate using the word literally, but it's in this case important. And he's just given all of this up to help these people out. And he said, you know what? I'm giving up my salary because I stand with people that don't want to be vaccinated. I've already had it. I'm fine. And that's what he's doing. Vinny, what do you think?
Well, one of the biggest problems that they have with on the media that I've been watching is that the people who are least likely to take up the vaccine are black folks. And
why? I wonder why.
Well, I wonder why exactly.
Tuskegee.
This is like.
You should say Tuskegee. You know why I say Tuskegee all the time, even in jokes, because a lot of people don't know about that.
No, they don't.
Tell us.
Well, they say there's an interesting. Actually, there's a thing in the Washington Post this week. You should do it.
The Washington Post.
The conspiracy theory quiz to see if you are a conspiracy theory believer. And one of the things is about the Tuskegee experiment, and the way they frame the question is that
I like that. Frame the question.
Hundreds of thousands of African American men who contracted syphilis weren't treated as an experiment. But the fact of the matter is they gave them fucking syphilis.
They
didn't contract it. They fucking gave it to them, right?
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that communities and also there's somebody else that really a good point that I saw. It was oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a podcaster anyway, but I was watching and he said nobody trusts anything the government gives you for free. Because the government never gives you anything for free. So that must be some fucked up shit.
Yeah. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. And the thing is, I guess you shouldn't be leaning into your feelings, but the problem is that I heard somebody come into the bar the other day and he said, he's like, if it was really something bad, and I'm sure it probably is, but I want to travel and I want to see somebody, right? And I was like, okay, but that's not a reason to take something.
No, it's not.
And that's actually what scares me the most out of anything in this world is when people are like, it's stupid to critically think. Even if you're wrong, it's okay to critically think.
What kills me about this particular case with the professional basketball player, this guy's at the peak of his fitness.
Yeah.
He's in his 20s. Yeah. He's a fucking athlete. His chances of getting COVID and dying from it are fucking astronomical.
He's already had it though, right?
And he's already had it, right?
Oh, he has already had it.
He's already had it, so he's got the natural immunity. His chances of fucking getting it and dying from it are fucking astronomical. And then you'll say, well, yeah, but it's to help stop the spread. But we've already determined that it doesn't stop the fucking spread. So what's the point of forcing this young fucking guy to take this vaccine, or at the cost of is giving him like a choice of either his livelihood or take a fucking vaccine that he doesn't really need?
Yeah.
I'm on his fucking side.
But the side is not to be with vaccinated or unvaccinated people. It's to be with people who want to think for themselves, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think you should be telling anybody what to do. I think we should just, because I thought like your relationship with your doctor should be personal, like your relationship with your priest or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be personal and like, it's supposed to be significant to you. Not to every fucking person. It's not like these fucking people with, people have had sex with other people knowingly with AIDS, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
Yes, of course.
And I understand.
George Michael Godbrass.
Did he not? Whoa.
George
What?
Michael Godbrass. No, but I
Wait, what did you say about
George Michael.
Godbrass.
Vinnie, I'm leaving.
That's the first thing that came to mind was George Michael Godbrass, but also I agree with what he said.
Why, did he have sex with people when he knew he didn't have AIDS, did he?
No, but people, no, George Michael, though, because he was a saint. It was the other people. It was the other people, not George Michael. But that's an aside. But I'm agreeing with what you're saying. The gentleman has already had COVID. He's saying, I've already had it. I have the antibodies.
I'm not letting you away from that George Michael shit.
No way.
There's no fucking
Not
way.
with him and his
I'm away
four
from
black
that. What the
cousins.
fuck
You're
are you
getting
talking
that.
For me, George Michael is God and Jesus for me in one person. But that aside, George Michael didn't do anything to harm anyone. Other people want to maybe harm George Michael, but the whole AIDS
Yeah, but I don't see where it's relative to the conversation that we're having about the guy who's not going to get the vaccine.
George Michael is never irrelevant.
Okay, but did he refuse to wear condoms, or did he just say that
No, he just in bathrooms with police officers.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
I'm just using George
Yeah.
Michael as an example of someone that was like the chivato expiatorio, the cabeza de turco, and basically, how do you say it in English? The chivato expiatorio,
Taking my voice.
Scapegoat?
Scapegoat, thank you,
Taking my voice
Suji,
from
thank you.
Suji.
The chivato expiatorio
I-
is the
I-
scapegoat,
am I there?
and
There you
George
go.
Michael
There
was
we
the
go.
scapegoat, and there was no need for that to happen. But this basketball guy,
This is an insane
for me,
aside. I love it.
Is a scapegoat, and he just doesn't
Yeah,
need
okay.
to be because he's already had it. Has he also been vaccinated, or he refused?
No, he
he's not-
refused
he's not
to be
vaccinated.
But
vaccinated.
he's already had COVID.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he has the.
So the medical community will tell you that he's already quite safe from getting it again.
Is it-
Probably
this
more
is-
safe
this is
than
the point.
anybody that's getting like
Probably.
actual.
Probably.
Is it that I would think that it should be, this kind of thing should be relative to what profession you do. I could understand a doctor being vaccinated.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I can also understand that a doctor. There's a lot of healthcare professionals that are not doing it.
I know.
70,000.
There's thousands, yeah, Suji was just saying,
They want to let
thousands in New York
70,000
nurses.
New York nurses go because they don't want to get the vaccine.
And that's insane because they need nurses like crazy. All over the
Absolutely.
world, more than doctors
Yeah,
half the
yeah,
time,
yeah,
you
yeah.
need nurses. But also there's a lot of people that we don't even think about, like people who clean, like porters in hospitals and
Absolutely, there's a
orderlies.
huge staff in a hospital.
Huge staff in a hospital, and they're all, and I'm like, dude, like, if you don't even trust them to make decisions for themselves, I'm like, come
Well,
on.
they're on the front lines of like the medical, pharmaceutical fucking community,
Yes.
and they know what the fuck is going on. It's a fucking scam. The whole
Yeah.
fucking thing is
But
a
then
scam.
my question is, why is it that a basketball player is suddenly the see-all, know-all, and a god?
He's not. There's some people are going to use him and make him a scapegoat when
Yeah,
he's just
because-
making a
yeah,
fucking
well,
personal decision.
Because he's got a position of
A platform.
Yeah, platform of.
But I
you
would
know
say
what I
right
mean?
now he's not being used as a scapegoat because he is being used even by people that either don't want to have vaccines
Yeah.
or not, as someone that is thinking and looking forward because he's already had it.
Yeah.
So technically he has all of the
Immunity.
Yeah, antibodies and
that we
stuff. Yeah.
need, exactly, antibodies. But then he's saying, hey, why do I need to get the vaccine because I've already had the disease?
It's a human
I
question.
like the fact that he's making people have a dialogue about it
Yeah.
because technically if you've had it,
But why can't I have that dialogue with my doctor without somebody feeding me bullshit?
But it's not
That's
a
my
dialogue.
point.
It's not a dialogue at this point. It's
It's
it's just like it's just one side or the other. It's like a binary thing. You're either like a sainted fucking lofted up vaccine receiving person, or you're like the lowest scum of the earth who doesn't
Vinnie,
get
I love
vaccinated.
how you've talked about it as a binary, kind of basically a dichotomy, whatever, because it's true. People that are already had it technically have a better immunity than people that are getting the vaccine.
I know, but yeah.
But nobody listens to them.
No.
Nobody talks to anybody else, and everybody's paranoid and going insane. Like I said, as we talked about me being in Canada, nobody seems to understand if you've already had it, the immunity you have is probably superior, pretty much guaranteed superior to the immunity you would have as if you had the vaccine. But nobody wants to listen to these people.
It's actually better. The
Yeah,
immunity
it's
is
better.
better. If you've had it, they did a study in Israel, and with all the kids that because they vaccinate kids at 12, which is a little weird to me,
In
but
Canada, not yet, but I understand
yeah,
what you're saying.
they realize that the kids who've been vaccinated and haven't had COVID, they're better off than kids who just got it naturally. No,
No,
that's
Canada's
the opposite.
saying-
Did I say that
I don't know if
right?
I-
The kids who haven't been vaccinated and they got COVID, they're okay. Were you all right?
Yeah. You're actually okay. You just can't hear it over there. I can hear you.
Are you?
Yeah, I
We're
can hear
having
you.
mic issues, or not?
I'm just saying that the same, I agree, like the people that have had it already, the immunity is either tantamount or superior
No, I got-
to people that
I-
have had, like,
I get that. We get that, but that's not the
That's
point.
right.
That's not the point. I mean, that isn't the point
no, but
that-
for me, the
of
point
the
is
argument.
if you've had
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
you're either, like, you've been vaccinated, it's either tantamount
You're
or
making
superior
a
to
common
people who
sense
had it.
argument with a thing that's just not. Common sense has got fuck all to do with what's going on with this situation. This is all propaganda, and you're either you're in the vaccinated camp or you're in the not vaccinated camp, and common sense about being like having the antibodies from having previously gotten it. That just goes out the window. It just doesn't matter.
Well,
it's not germane to the discussion, which is ridiculous.
I've had it and I'm
Germane.
vaccinated.
Great, bringing out the big
For
words
me,
this week.
it's tantamount to a slap in the face because I've had it and I'm also vaccinated, but like, okay,
But you're not done for that.
okay, but I've had it and I'm vaccinated.
Yeah.
The thing is, I know people that are like really paranoid, etc. But also, I know people that have died violently that were older than 60 that didn't need to have this happen to them, and people are like, "Oh, it's not a real disease." No, it's real. I've
No,
had
it's
it
real.
and
We've never
I've
said
been
that.
vaccinated. But like,
Yeah.
the thing is, if you've already had it, in my mindset, if you've had it already as a virus, it's the same as if you've been vaccinated, or even superior to having been vaccinated because you've already lived through it.
Yeah. My point on that was, and I'm going to totally agree with you on that. That like I never said that it was a fake disease. I've never
Thank
ever
you.
said that
Okay.
ever. And
I
you can
love
go
that
back.
you're clarifying.
No, you can go back through the whole time that we've done the show. We talk about it all the time, and I've never said it was a fake disease ever. I said it was
You have
exploited,
not.
and I also said that the billions that we've spent on this vaccine that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do. I'm really sorry, but it doesn't stop the spread. It's not, like it technically says that it keeps you out of the hospital. If instead of spending that money and giving it to Pfizer and AstraZeneca and Moderna and all the big companies that we gave the money to, we had actually put money into taking care of the people who were the highest at risk of severe COVID, I think we'd be in a much fucking better place than we are now.
There's no way that you could say, because we live in a society where it's always a numbers game. They always say it's a numbers game, right, Carmen? I'm just saying that. I think what we've always said the whole time is this is a real thing. I had COVID.
When did you have it?
I had it in
month?
the summer.
Just this past summer.
Yeah.
I had the past before.
Yeah,
okay.
and I had a really hard time with it. I was really sick,
You
but
couldn't taste your smell?
No, I lost it all, lost
Did
it
you
all.
have the lung one?
I didn't have the lung one. I couldn't taste
Neither
the smell.
did I.
I had what's the mean one?
I don't know.
I had the
The
lung
main
one.
strain.
You couldn't taste
Delta?
the smell
I got
and
the
you were
Delta.
tired or whatever.
I got the Delta. I got the Rona Delta.
I had the main strain. I was good.
Oh, you were
I was
the OG
fine.
original, huh?
I had the
OG,
OG.
COVID OG.
Yeah.
Like it.
But the thing is being sick is human. Being sick is human. And I don't think that when something bad like that happens, maybe it was a pandemic. I don't fucking know. A lot of people got this disease, right? A lot of people get the flu everywhere as well.
I gotta say, I love your attitude, but my family wouldn't even let me come into the house until both my parents were vaccinated. Until I
But you
was
didn't.
vaccinated.
But you
and had
didn't
it.
do. But you didn't do anything. Like you didn't. You weren't an alien to get sick.
No,
it's
no,
not
but-
like you went and gone fucked like 17 chimpanzees and killed a hillbilly. Like
No, we
you
don't know that.
I wish that I would
can't
have
know
fucked
that.
17 chimpanzees
God rest-
and killed a
God rest-
hillbilly because my
God-
parents
God bless
wouldn't let me
George Michael.
set foot on the threshold of their house until they'd been both double
But
vaccinated and me as well.
But I mean, there's a way to deal with it in a human way.
Yeah.
And I don't think that.
You're thinking like a Mediterranean person.
No, I'm
they
thinking
wouldn't
of a
let me even
pragmatist.
set foot into the house.
Thinking
area.
like a person who's actually thought about it and thought and
Get rid of
not,
McDonald's and Burger King.
and not just taken on the
Seriously, it's killing me.
and not just taken on the like what we were fed by the media. We're fed this like spoon-fed this narrative that you have to do this, and if you don't do this, you're a bad person. So all the bad people are over
I'm a
there,
bad person.
and all the good
I'm
people
going
are
to
over
say
here.
this. Vinnie brought up a really good point to me. Do you remember during going back to your friend George Michael, remember during the AIDS epidemic? You remember he had a friend who died of AIDS.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his family wouldn't even let him eat the same fucking,
No, they had-
off the same plate.
They had
You know
plastic
what?
and
You know what?
paper disposable.
After what happened to me during the COVID epidemic, I can say that I would be the person that would have the Coca-Cola and eat with the plastic fucking fork off the dish of my dying friend. Because I know what it's like when your whole family won't even give you a hug in the street in the middle of winter because, you've already had COVID, but maybe you're going to kill all of us.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling when everybody you love throws you into the
But
dirt.
where did
because
your
they're-
family get that? That's my point. But this
Exactly.
has always been my point.
They're
I'm always-
Canadians that aren't stupid, and they didn't want me near them because maybe I'm going to infect them.
No, but I'm saying, where did they get that from? They didn't just decide that on their own.
The government.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is we've been given this
From Bob Dylan,
spoon-
no, the government.
spoon-fed this line of this is what's happening and this is what it is, and you have to do this, and if you don't do this, you're bad. And
But you know
so
what? You can only blame the government to a certain point. My family was like, we don't want you near us because you've already had COVID and maybe you have it in your system. And I was like, do you know how viruses work? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
actually
know.
super hyper already, like, I'm fine. And they were like, no, but you had it. So maybe it's going to manifest in a stronger strain and you're going to kill all of us. And they wouldn't let me near their house. I
And
was waving on the street in -40. That was my life
I'm
for a
always
year.
I'm always on the media for this one because the media is really behind
I don't
this
think that's your.
100,000%.
I don't think it's completely your.
Oh,
family.
the media.
Well, I mean, they are. Because, I mean, you're talking about Canada, which is very similar to the United States, in that you go into the house and there's like 5 TVs. There's a TV on in every room, and it's all either
And it's
Fox
all
News
CNN,
or CNN.
yeah.
That's it. Fox News or CNN.
No, but I like to think that Canada is a bit more not so USA style.
That's what they say.
Sorry.
Sorry, but no.
I learned that when I went back.
They
that-
killed a bunch of
Yeah.
First Nations people too.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A bunch.
All of
Everybody.
Yeah.
But like when I went home, they were like, "Oh, sorry, but you had it. Oh no, we care about you, but like, good luck to you. You can't come home." This was 8 months of living hell, and that's why I'm back here. This was not a good
No, I
time
don't
for
blame
me or for anybody. Going home, you know what? I have a family of 5. My dad was like, "I'm getting you home. It doesn't matter what. I'll stay in the yard with you." My dad is a wonderful, loving human being. My sisters and my mother, they were like, "Well, good luck to you, but we can't trust you because you've had the COVID, so you're going to have to pay your way and live in the street, whatever." My dad was like, "I'm getting you home no matter what."
Take your George Michael records and get out.
No, but you know what? My dad, who's also a George Michael fan, my dad is the only person in my family that was like, nothing bad's going to happen to you. I'm going to look after you, because my dad also a big George Michael fan, and no judgment, right?
Yeah.
But my sisters and my mother, you're not coming home, and we don't care where you go or how you get there. Bye. Good luck to you. Huh?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucking David
Canada
Crawford.
isn't all chocolate and daisies like on
Maple
the
syrup.
Simpsons. They told you we're not all chocolate and roses.
No, I know. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's
Very big military industrial, very big military
big
industrial
suck
complex
fest
up in
sometimes.
Canada as
It
well.
made
I think
suck fest.
I think basically what is the overwhelming kind of feeling for me and Vinny, if I can speak for you, can I?
Work away.
Just a little bit.
Speak for
is
Vinny, he
that
loves it.
you can't trust a media that is owned by corporations
Yeah.
who sell you a vaccine. They don't have any interest for you to be
Yes.
free
Yeah.
on that
But-
level.
but what
Period.
hap- but what
you're
happens-
selling me the you know
But what
the
happens
cure, and then
when
you're
your
the cause.
family is following this narrative
Well,
and telling
You gotta talk
can't
to them
come
as
home?
humans. You gotta get
Yeah.
empathy
Because
on
they're
your
gonna
side,
kill us
dude.
all if we show
No.
up.
You gotta forget every fucking thing you think and be like, listen, I gotta talk to you person to person, because you
Yeah.
can't have that. Because I think about it when you mentioned that during the AIDS epidemic. 'Cause that was an epidemic. Because
It absolutely was.
It absolutely was.
And
Because
they totally ignored that one.
they ignored it.
They ignored that one.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan didn't say AIDS until 1988. He'd been president since 1980. And the heart of the outbreak was started in like 1979,
Yeah.
80, 81. It was really fucking bad in New York and San Francisco.
Unbelievable.
And
Yes.
Ronald Reagan never said the word AIDS
and what
until
do you think
88
would have
when he was
taken
already
for that
leaving
thing
office.
to be a little better? That would have been a little bit of education,
You know what?
understanding, and compassion.
And speaking of the AIDS epidemic in relation to
You're not gonna say
coronavirus,
Dr.
I mean
Fauci.
Dr. Fauci, yeah,
I knew you were gonna say
because he was in competition with somebody to win a fucking prize over who developed the treatment for
The
what do
Nobel
they call that
Peace
shit? The treatment, the AIDS treatment, the AZT. No,
The pills, AZT.
is it AZT?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever. They were in competition to develop this thing, and one of them was going to get a fucking prize.
Yeah.
And it could have been out it could have been out like 2 years fucking earlier.
But you know what? I have to
But it
mention
wasn't.
my dad again, because when Freddie Mercury died, and also when George Michael died, my dad was like, "What's happening is not right. These people, they say that they have a disease because of how they
I'm
are."
going to clarify. I
He's
don't
like, "They're
think
good
George Michael
people."
died of AIDS.
Okay, no, George Michael died of sadness alone
Yeah.
in England.
Yeah.
But as my dad said when Freddie Mercury died, as my dad said, who was like a Catholic school teacher and in charge of the whole district, he was like, what's happening to these nice people is not fair because of how their lifestyle is. People are judging them, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a director of a Catholic school, but even though he was a religious man and director of a Catholic school, my dad is one of those few people that likes everybody and acts like Jesus, and is like, gay people are always so nice, and it's not right what happens to them. Like, my dad was so kind about both about the Freddie Mercury thing, or
and
about
he
George
still is
Michael.
during this thing too.
And he still is.
See?
My dad is the only reason why I was allowed home during this, because my sisters and my mom were like, well, you've already had it. You could possibly be a carrier. They were paranoid like it was an alien, like Ridley Scott, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, I already had. They're like, oh, but maybe you
Just
have.
to clarify, Ridley Scott did not die of AIDS either. He's still with us.
No, but you have to understand how my family is. My mom and my sisters
gonna
were
die
like,
sadness.
you had the COVID. Maybe it's growing stronger in you, and because you don't have it now.
Yeah.
My dad was like, it's a virus, just come home, just
Yeah,
come
get
home.
over it.
Because my dad is kind, and because my dad likes gay people, likes people that have had COVID.
Again, like I'm going to come to the defense of your sister and your mom. Like, no,
Don't
folks,
come
no.
in their defense.
No, but they're
because I will
Family
hunt you
therapy.
down, Vinnie. No,
but-
sorry, just
no, but I'm
kidding.
just
They
saying,
love
like,
New York people.
they don't get, they didn't get that, they didn't pick that up off the ground on their own.
No.
This is a narrative that's being pumped from the highest levels, and a lot of people believe that, you know, what the media tells them. They believe that, like CNN is doing journalism, which they are
Oh,
not.
no, Vinnie,
Neither is Fox.
Vinnie,
Neither
you're
is
right.
MSNBC.
For them, it's the
Neither is
God's
the
honest
BBC.
truth. It's the gospel truth. But also, they don't like me in general. But
well, I
like
mean,
they
there's that.
like
I
to
mean-
look at the CNN and whatever.
Okay.
But like it's like, oh, Carmen, like you're coming from Europe. You're like you're crazy. You're like the European way of being. You're obviously have the COVID. You know.
Ah,
Yeah,
we got the
Whereas my
background.
dad was like, we're going to get you home, honey. Don't worry. Because
Aw.
my dad is a wonderful human being.
Aw.
Not homophobic.
What's your
kind.
dad's name?
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Bob is the best person you could. My dad is the nicest man you could
Bob
ever
stands
meet.
for best of the best.
When
There you
George
go.
Michael died, my dad was like, "What a shame! What a star! Such a shame!
Aw.
A good man."
This George Michael thing is crazy.
We're going to take a break now, and this
I love
this
my
segment of the
dad.
show has been dedicated to the memory of George Michael. Ladies and
You're
gentlemen.
And my
not
dad-
saying that.
And
You're
my
not
dad,
saying
my
that.
dad, who was like, "George Michael died. What a shame! What a shame!"
Yeah, I mean, George Michael dying. I don't think he died of AIDS, and we're going to look it up
He
on our
died of
list.
sadness. He died alone in a small British town with his.
Are you sure?
With his
But what did that-
boyfriend, who was from Brazil, that was partying in the next city, and he died alone on Christmas night. He
Not
was
to be a
just
dick, but
alone.
you sure it wasn't fentanyl or something?
No. He literally died of sadness.
That's
His-
also called sadness, really.
No, seriously. His boyfriend,
AKA
who was
sadness.
Brazilian,
Yeah?
was.
Oh, we got to talk on the mic. So I can't hear you if you don't talk on the mic.
Oh, sorry. I'm here.
Yeah.
George
So-
Michael, I love you so much.
This break, not the entire show, we're going to stop that with that.
George Michael.
is devoted to George Michael.
Okay.
I
good.
can't hear you say.
Back in October 2021, we did a show with an Irish friend, Tomas, who lived in Moscow, to talk about life in Russia from the viewpoint of someone who actually lived there. I haven't posted until now, as the audio is not great. It's from my video camera, for fuck's sake, and I was holding a microphone to my phone, not exactly cutting-edge tech. But I thought it would be interesting to listen to 8 months later, given all that's transpired. So please excuse the really shitty audio. Also excuse the somewhat random point at which I started the conversation, as I absolutely had to get rid of the first few sentences in which I said the word like 50 fucking times. Like, like. I blame 20 years of living in Ireland for that annoying habit. So here we go, with Tomas, live from Moscow, October 2021.
Like healthcare and education and homelessness and all the things that we struggle with here in the West. Like, how are those addressed in Russia? We don't understand, and we want to know more from somebody who lives there.
Okay, all right. If you talk about, I don't know, there are sort of nuances here. Of course, some things are drastic, but in general, like healthcare is really decent over here. I think I'm here with Vadim. He's with me. He's a native, but Vadim, healthcare is free, isn't it, in Russia? Yeah, so healthcare is free. And although people like, say, in the UK, for example, used to harp on so much about the NHS, but in my opinion, the NHS has gone totally to pot. It's probably a dangerous place, or they're dangerous people to have looking after you. But in Russia, healthcare is free. Yeah. Homelessness, it exists. Yeah, there are homeless people. There are people on the street. Often they're people, same idea, like often people with that have drug and alcohol related problems.
Have you been back to Dublin recently?
I have indeed. I'll tell you, look, the reason I am in Russia, I was in Dublin and I started a business in Dublin. I was quite happily living with my elderly parents. We were having a wonderful time, very lovely relationship. I love them, very reciprocal. Really nice. I haven't seen them for years. As you know, I was living a long time in Barcelona. So I was enjoying Dublin. And then when we had the first lockdown, clearly didn't work. And I have friends who are advisors of the Irish government. I have friends who are very close to the government in Ireland. And I was actually talking to them at the time and said, look, come on, the second lockdown, when it was aired, that there was a possibility, I was like, come on, and clearly they can't be advocating the second lockdown. And lo and behold, they did. And like, as for me, living in Dublin, one of the few things I like to do is go swimming. And I swim regularly, like a pool swimmer. And my pool was closed for months on end. And it was driving me crazy. And then the sea in Ireland, unless you spend 800 quid on the get-up. Anyway, put a long story short, I'm back in, the reason I'm in Moscow is because it's a freer place. My country has gone to pot. The political elite in my country, or the politicians, do not represent the opposition. Were advocating for harsher lockdowns. So I had to make that very tough decision to come back to Russia, because I just deemed that Ireland was not a good place to live. So, I mean, that kind of puts things in perspective immediately, that I would actually move from Ireland to Russia to get away from that situation.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And like in terms of the COVID, like what's the sort of situation with COVID in Russia? Like, for example, I read that that if you went and gotten an antigen test and it was positive, you got a PCR test and it was free. Is that true?
Well, I'm not. Yeah, it's a possibility. But then again, places like Russia and Turkey and other parts of the world, when you go for a PCR test here, you do have to pay. But it's only maybe 20 to 30 quid. Sorry, quid. I should say pounds or euros.
Yeah.
Quid is a relic, showing my age here.
No, that's what I say it all the time as well. So.
Yeah, it's relatively cheap. Now, here's another story, though. A good friend of mine has just come out of hospital. He went in with I don't know if it was pleurisy or something wrong with his lungs. Anyway, he was in hospital, and this is almost comical. He was in hospital. They did the first COVID test negative. Second test about a week later negative. and then the third test positive. And when he said to them, well, how come I had 2 negative tests and then a positive test? And the doctor said to him, well, the virus is giving sign that had to come to the surface. And if ever
we should
example of nonsense, pseudoscience, and it's but anyway, we're surrounded by pseudoscience and falsehoods.
We should have had you on our first segment where we talk about COVID.
Oh my God, Vinnie, I would be.
No, that's right. I'm not getting you started. I'm definitely not getting you started.
I think you're on. You know what I'm saying here. There'll be a lot to be. You haven't got taken off the air. I would just be on a rant.
Anyway, another thing I wanted to ask you about, like, sort of, we watch, like, like the media here, like every story is about like how bad Russia is and Russia's bad and Putin's terrible and blah blah blah. Yeah. And every TV show, American, British, like the bad guys are always the Russians. We're just taught to fucking.
Sure.
What is like the media in Russia? What is it like? Is it in terms of like their portrayal of the West?
Well, you know what? That's almost reciprocal. So I mean, you could tar them with the same brush in that. When they go on air, it's everything's hunky dory here. But look at these fools over here in the West and this and that. So it cuts both ways.
Yeah, what a shock.
But it's interesting you say that. I watched that Bond film last night. Oh my God! Like, what an agenda stuff movie that was. But one of the main things from it was, again, Russia the bad guys movie.
It's in everything. We see it in everything. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I watched there's a program. It's a really shit American TV program, which is I love shit American TV programs. I always have. Cop shows. I love them. They're terrible. I laugh at them. But there was an episode of SWAT in Los Angeles, and there was a riot between a black group and a white nationalist group, and it was the Russians' fault. I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
How did they get into it?
I grew up in this country. What the fuck are you people talking about? Man? You expect me to believe that? Yeah. So,
no, I totally understand. And listen, before, I first came to Russia in, I think, late 2013. And I went, I was totally indoctrinated by the media as well. I mean, a pal of mine directing a movie over here, and he was in Barcelona prior to that, writing the script for said movie. And he was like, Tom, you must come to Russia, wonderful place, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking all the time, yeah, you know what, could be interesting, but, it sounds like a bit of a dodgy place to be going. So I had that, in my mind, prior to coming over in late 2013. And it wasn't very long before, I was turned around. People here are like, they're really, really, they're good people. They really, really are. They,
like most people, really, yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced nothing but kindness and generosity, good humor. Look, Russia's not perfect. There are things over here that could be, like anywhere, could be done better, could be better. But another portrayal of Russia as well, and I've had friends that are involved with the LGBTQ plus movement in Ireland, and I got berated when I came over. When I was over here, one or two of them, I got berated. What are you doing over there? You're living in Russia. Those guys hate gays and that. And I'm like, look, the media again portray that in a very, very dark light, because for one, I'll give you one example. There's a movement in St. Petersburg, I think that's where it originated, called Occupy Pedophilia, right? And it's completely anti-gay, and what they do is they get in touch with guys through social media or whatever, like a gay guy, or a guy who pretends to be gay, get onto another guy, they'll arrange a meet-up, and they beat the guy up, basically, So absolutely horrendous, a horrific group and all the rest. But they're a tiny, tiny number of people. But before I arrived in Russia, I'd seen that in the media, blown up out of all proportions. People over here are, I'd say it's more regarding homosexuality, for example. People here are like kind of where we were maybe in the 50s and 60s. You know?
Okay, so like not yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what we see is sort of like what you were talking about, like the group that you're talking about. Like that's all we hear about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's as if that's everybody. Everybody feels like that, and they absolutely do not.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing as well, Vinny, is that the Duma, you know, the government here, the Duma here, a sizable number of MPs are, ministers there are gay.
I did not know that.
And a fairly high number. And one of them, actually, I won't mention his name, one of them is actually a sadist and enjoys the company of teenage boys.
Lovely.
So,
he sounds like a regular politician to me, actually. I mean, honestly.
Horrible. Well,
he'd fit right in anywhere in the West. I mean, honestly, he'd fit right in Britain anyway, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. So
that actually leads me to another question I wanted to ask about, like the way, like what we hear, like here in the West, we always hear that. What we always hear in the West is that like any sort of opposition to the government, journalists go to jail and people can't speak out against the government or they get put in prison, and I don't know. I'm guessing that's probably blown completely out of proportion as well. Is it?
Yes and no. I mean, you've got. I think it's Yedinsky Russia. If that's the name. Sorry, I might have pronounced it incorrectly, but that's Putin's party, and they were voted in like Trudeau in Canada. They were voted in. They lost some seats, but they got voted in with a majority. Same as Trudeau in Canada. Now, I don't know. I have my own theories, on the politics here. What's his name here? The opposition who's in jail.
Navalny.
Navalny. Yeah. Now, I don't know. This is something that I'm saying. I'm not saying this is what I think, but I think it's a distinct possibility. We do live in an age of highly controlled opposition. And I was saying to a friend of mine, Ksenia, the other day, that she's a huge supporter of Navalny. And I just said to her, look, you need to entertain the thought. You don't have to believe it, but you need to entertain the possibility that Navalny may well be controlled opposition. And he may not even be in a jail right now. And that Novichok in the underpants and ringing up the guy, the FSB agent, that might all have been contrived, possibly. So,
yeah, possibly. I mean,
possibly. I just think the politics, I think it's a lot more intricate and subversive in all of our respective countries than we're led to believe.
I mean, I've heard things about Navalny, like for instance that like he's quoted as calling Muslims cockroaches. I mean, he's like he's not some sort of like great liberal savior.
Yes.
He's
absolutely.
He's a fucking he's a fanatic as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yes, that's right. He has made quotations like that about. I mean, the racism over here is really directed at people from Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, the Asiatic countries.
Yeah, the former Soviet bloc countries. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but he's absolutely no angel. But I don't. Yeah, no, there is if you are in opposition, look what happened to the emigres in London. A lot of them got knocked off back, a number of years ago. So if you do take a direct stance against the ruling party here, yes, you would be in trouble, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which is Putin, yeah?
Yeah, which is Putin, yeah. I mean, we get that. I mean, my point is, like my point here, we have this discussion nearly every week now. My point is, I'm not defending Putin, but there's enough people beating the shit out of him on our side that, I'd just like to hear, I mean, it's nice to hear from someone who lives there.
Yeah.
That was my whole point. You know what I mean?
Well, an interesting one, Vinny, is that I don't know if this is bullshit. I mean, bullshit in the sense that he didn't mean it. But when they had that bullshit World Economic Forum Davos effort this year, Putin actually said he berated that pervert Klaus Schwab. He berated him for or the United Nations for having, for coming down so hard on their own people.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're not saying that Putin is like some sort of benevolent fucking character. No, by any stretch, I don't think.
And that might have been just hot wind. That might have been just to sort of, to look good or whatever. But I thought that, and they also said, and Lavrov also said, and Putin at the time, that is kind of bullshit, but they said they would never introduce vaccine passports for their citizens.
Did they?
However, I'll qualify that by saying that for a lot of jobs over here, the vaccine is mandated.
Yeah. So much the same as what we're dealing with here. Yeah. But
what we're dealing, what you're dealing with, and I'll say we're as well, because I'm not familiar with the Spanish context and clearly the Irish context. But I just see what's happening in Europe is absolutely. Well, I mean, look at Australia is gone mental.
It's insanity.
Insanity to the power of n. To the nth degree. Yeah. And that's where we're all headed, sadly, I think. And I think Russia probably possibly as well. And my mind is thinking, Vinnie, what rock can I live under where I might be safe for a few years?
I hear you on that one, for sure.
Yeah. He generally like Putin.
How do you feel about? How do you feel about Vladimir?
How do I feel about him?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I think when you're talking about politics, whatever country you're in, you'd be very hard pushed to find a benevolent, leader of a country who hasn't been killed, to be taken out or whatever.
Monster.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is the painful.
Yeah, I mean, what Salam's saying is that we get these pictures of him as like just this unbelievable homicidal monster, and I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't buy it.
Unbelievable homicidal, no, but
We don't get that at all.
I don't think like that.
We don't get a homicidal monster painting at all. No.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks that Putin's a homicidal monster, but Navalny is not some psychotic sidecar, whatever. Putin
he's
interesting. He's charismatic. He's intelligent. He's charming.
He's a handsome lad. Clearly very intelligent guy.
But Navalny is not the opposite either. He's also charming and whatever, and he's not the psychotic, racist, whatever, because you can also paint Putin as that. So both of them are the same, and also neither.
Yeah, it's a who knows. It's a who knows situation. But I mean,
But I mean, I think in the end, like what I'm getting is it's much of a muchness with what we've got going on everywhere. It's not like like Russia is particularly or Putin is particularly worse than any fucking leader that we have. I think they're all fucking terrible.
Exactly, and that's it. When people used to point the finger at Russia and saying, "Oh my God, corruption in Russia," and I'm thinking, "Fucking hell! If you're not paying attention to what's going on in your own country."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but that's like Vinnie. That's a classic American thing as well.
Absolutely.
It's like we are the democratic force of the world. We will put everything to right. Nothing we can do, could be bad or wrong.
Like that Pandora Papers thing that came out, or was it Pandora Papers thing that came out last week, and they named all these sort of Eastern European and Russian oligarchs as corrupt, and there were no fucking Americans on it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, in a group, the International Commission of Investigative Journalists, that's funded by a fucking tech billionaire. So, from Silicon Valley. So I take a lot of that shit with a grain of salt, and like I'm getting the fucking side eye from my co-host again, because it's like I'm defending Putin, but I'm not defending Putin. I'm just saying, like, he's not singled out as any worse than any of these other fucking, like, evil fucking
totally
ghouls.
agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Anyway.
Oligarch, he says oligarch dance.
Anyway, well, listen, I think we're kind of going to run out of time in a bit. So
no worries.
Listen.
What I was saying to wrap up, or we're close to wrapping up.
Yeah.
I would say if these Egypts allow you to fly or get out of your country without too much hassle or whatever, if you can actually travel to Russia, it's a bit of a palaver getting a holiday visa, but it's a wonderful place to come to visit Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Yeah,
Kazan,
I'd love to.
Wherever else, it's extremely safe. extremely safe.
Yes, for us white people.
Yeah, I've heard all those things that you're saying, and I'd love to go. I actually, when all this fucking shit settles down, I may pop over.
You might need to go before.
Yeah,
I might
definitely.
go, God knows. Yeah. But anyway, listen.
Yeah.
So listen, it was really great talking to you. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe we can touch base again in a bit, when things are if some weird crazy shit happens and we we want to get sort of a your opinion on it, and hopefully we'll have our technology hooked up, because I've got a cramp in my hand from holding the microphone next to my phone, which is just ridiculous. We should be better than this, but we're not yet. But we will be.
I'd love to get on about this COVID nonsense. I really would.
Yeah,
because too many people are being shut down and censored. And we're coming very close to this misinformation thing they're talking about. The misinformation now is even questioning what's going on.
Yeah, we're on board with you here. Believe me, we talk about that every week.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, man. Well, listen, it was great talking to you, and hopefully, next time we talk to you, we'll have a bit more of an interactive go around. It was more like a Vinnie dominated session here, so it's just kind of the way we work with our shitty tech.
It's our first foreign correspondent.
Yeah, you're our first.
I know. Look,
you're our first
pleasure.
foreign correspondent. So yeah, exactly.
I'll be your foreign correspondent. Just send $5 in the post.
All right, man.
Okay.
All right, man. Cheers. Thanks a
Okay,
million.
guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Deu.
Ew.
Navalny is not the best, but neither is fucking
No,
Putin.
listen.
That's the night you got my voice on.
Seriously,
What do you
Navalny is not.
I'm very loud. Whoa.
Navalny is not the be all end all, but neither is. I don't think my mic's even on, but neither is.
Oh, you're on the wrong way.
Yeah. Navalny is not the be all end all, but neither is Putin. And I'm a fan of his because he's a very charming and a good speaker. He's what Obama wants to be, actual power with good speeches.
I don't think Obama wants to be.
With
No,
good
no.
speeches.
No.
I don't think
But
Obama.
everybody hits Putin, whatever. Navalny is the best. No, neither. But Navalny is neither the villain they're making out to be. Neither Putin is the god they're making out to be.
I don't think those two things are
The politicians, they suck.
I don't think
Both
those
of
two,
them
that's what I
suck.
mean. I don't think those
They
two
both
things are
suck.
mutually exclusive. It's like
They both suck.
Putin doesn't have to be bad for Navalny to be good, and Navalny doesn't have to be. You know what I mean?
They both
They're both
suck.
awful.
This is in DC.
They're
Yeah.
high-level politicians. They both suck salmon, as was once stated in Saturday Night Live back in the 90s. They both suck salmon. And Bernie Sanders is the only good human that's a politician, but he will never come into
Yeah,
power because he's too human.
Yeah,
But
he's sold
both
out a little
Navalny and
bit though as
Putin, they have
well.
their pluses, and both good looking, both charming, both have rivers of people following them. Neither one is good. They both suck, and they both don't suck.
I think that's pretty much what. Well, I was really happy to get Tomas on the phone and stuff, and like I said, to him, it'd be better if we had a much more interactive thing where we could have all kind of
It's
done the
fine.
thing. So, yeah, I think he said the same thing coming from Russia, going look, the guy, he's the guy, but he's not great. He's not, neither is Navalny.
They
None
both
of them are
suck,
fucking
and they
great.
both don't suck.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think the point that he makes about Russia being not this evil empire that we're constantly bombarded with,
Yep.
that they're somehow out to destroy our lives and shit.
I have a lot of
Russia.
Russian friends here, and despite what they tell you, my Russian friends admire Putin.
Yeah, they love a fucking Peter the Great. You know what I mean? They love an Ivan the
He's done
Terrible.
good things.
That's
A lot
the
of my
thing.
friends, they tell me you're either from the oligarchy or you're not, and you want to be from the oligarchy. They admire Navalny for his political leanings, but Putin is the one that's letting them have their businesses go up and up and up, as the Spanish say, subiendo como la espuma.
Yeah, okay.
They're doing well. They're doing well.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
Russia's not doing well.
well, the private companies are doing great in Russia.
Oh, really well.
Yeah, if you stole everything in the 90s.
And
Well,
Putin
no,
is very
we didn't
charming.
steal
He's
everything,
funny.
You're gonna
Everybody stole everything in the
We're going to
90s.
have to do a new show. We're going to have to do another show about the Magnitsky Act, which is
wow.
Bill Browder.
I know about the Magnitsky. I know.
That fucking carpetbagging fucking robber went over there and he got caught and he's made this. Yeah. What are you
I
doing?
was not aware of
It's
this, but now I'm listening.
Oh, Bill
I'm
Browder.
there.
You should Google Bill Browder and the Magnitsky Act.
Yeah, but I mean,
I like the name.
they sold off everything to private companies during.
Absolutely did.
Yeah,
they did.
They absolutely did. I mean, according to the world that, according to like the neoliberal model, that's the good thing. That's the thing you're supposed
No,
to do.
it's not. I'm saying it's not.
No, so am I. So
Yeah.
am
It
I.
exists
So am
anymore
I.
because it's all been sold off.
Like, I don't think their economy is great.
No, it's not. I mean, it's a small economy. It's dependent on.
I don't even think we should probably even
Yeah.
measure how good a company or a country a company.
Yeah, which is my point about like that stupid fucking BBC program that I watched.
What?
Like
That you wrote?
I didn't write it,
The
no, fuck
real
that shit,
truth
no.
comes up.
Jesus Christ, if I fucking wrote that fucking tripe, I mean, I'd be rich.
Which
but
one?
Fucking hell.
Hello.
The one about the submarine. Where the Russians were trying to sabotage a fucking British submarine.
Oh.
Why?
We all
What the
live
fuck?
in
Why
a
did they?
nuclear submarine.
Like Russia has an economy about the size of New York. New York has
true.
New York State has a bigger economy
true.
than Russia. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's
But
true.
the Russian one is a bit more concentrated and slightly more dangerous, I would say.
Why would you say that? I don't see what you see. There you go. Like that's your bias.
Because nuclear.
Well, I would maintain that Israel is far more dangerous than nuclear weapons. First, they deny that they have them,
But they're still
they
being reined in
do.
by the U.S. though, and them
Hardly.
Russias, we
Hardly.
are not reining in the Russias. The Russias are not getting reined in.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think you've grown up on a diet, a steady diet of like Russia bad, Russia bad, Russia
No, no,
bad.
no,
So you automatically your bias.
Actually, my diet has been Ukraine good, and by extension also Russia good, because I'm from Western Canada, where the Polish, Ukrainian, and Russians are the order of the day.
No,
so
I know that, yeah.
my thing is Russia good, Ukraine good, Polish good food, and strong people, which I enjoy.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
that.
And George Michael.
We have to put the gay in there just to mix it up a bit, but
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
Apparently not in Russia.
Not in Russia.
Poland, and Ukraine is all good. Where I live, everything is not bad. My family's Ukrainian Polish. We like the Russians. They're not the villains. We love them. In fact, we love them Russians.
I mean, I don't live anywhere.
No, but I mean, it was an interesting conversation. I'm glad I had a conversation with Tomas. Like, he lived here for a long time, so he's kind of like got the, you know,
Is he Irish?
he's Irish. He's from
Oh,
Dublin.
okay.
Yeah, his name is Tomas, but he's not Spanish. Not
Tomas
with
is
that
an
accent.
Irishman.
Exactly. He's Thomas from Ireland.
No, Tomas is Irish.
From Galloway?
It's Gaelic.
Gaelic, yeah.
Galloway.
No, he's from Dublin.
Oh, he's from actual
He's
Dublin.
from Galway.
Did I hear his accent? It's a
I
Dublin
pictured
accent.
a smaller center. because of the
Galway.
accent.
He said Galway.
Galway.
Galloway. Isn't that from the fucking Lord of the, isn't that the Lord of the Rings? One of the
That's
guys in the Lord of the
Gollum.
Rings, Galloway?
That's
Jesus.
Gollum, but I love the
Galloway.
Galway because
Galway.
they're the real salt to the earth people.
Donald would roll in his grave. It's Galway.
Galloway.
I'm crackling a little bit. Anyways, yeah, it is interesting, but I mean, also from different perspectives. Not to say that I'm not.
Sure. No, honestly, like, I mean, one of the questions that I just got to be like, it was too much time. I needed to, like, but like, you know, like, I'm sure, like, you know, like, because, like, Tomas is, like, you know, he's an expat, first of all, like all of us.
Yeah.
When you're an expat, you have a different, like, a totally different...
No, honey, I'm an immigrant.
You have a
There's
totally
a difference
different
between
quality of
expats and
life.
immigrants. I'm an immigrant.
Trust me, you're an expat.
You're an
I'm an immigrant.
Yeah,
Trust
no.
me that I'm an immigrant.
Oh, sorry.
Why do you figure that?
Because I don't have all
Did
these
you come here in
rights
a
and
fucking
riches
container
and
ship? Or on a fucking tire?
Oh no, I'm definitely an immigrant. Trust me when I tell you this. So I can look from the immigrant side, and that's why I can say I'm not an expat. Expats are usually rich douchebags. I'm definitely a fucking immigrant. I can
But they
guarantee
don't.
that.
But if somebody looks at you, they don't think of you as an immigrant. They
no,
think
but,
of
but
Absolutely.
I'm an immigrant, and the government knows it. Yeah.
yeah, they don't matter.
Anyway, my
though.
point was, like, I never got to ask, and I meant to ask, is, like, you know, like, the difference between, like, you know, like, what's the quality of life for someone at his level? I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, when you get down to the lower levels, I'm sure it's difficult, like it is everywhere.
I mean, there's a reason why there's not a lot of immigrants
Yeah,
or
yeah,
expats
yeah.
moving to Russia.
yeah, well,
Maybe
actually, there is.
There is, but
There is
not
quite a
the
lot.
same way for not.
Loads of Americans moved there in the fucking 90s again with the Bill Browder thing to just fucking rape the country.
Immigrants with the savings
And
are
being a job.
expats.
Exactly. I'm like immigrants are the same. Like
Are expats. If
Yeah.
not,
Because
you're
when
an
you
immigrant.
say, is it safe? It's like, okay, I mean, there's certain places, anywhere you go, it's not safe for people who are
like the rebel.
Yeah, no, sure.
Not white men.
Yeah.
Revival, honestly, it's not that dangerous.
No, I don't think so.
I'd rather walk
Can
in
be.
Washington than Raval, but anyway.
You'd rather walk where?
somewhere in Russia, because I like the Eastern Europeans and like the Slavics, whatever, better than the Ravel for me. But that's my positive racism speaking.
I was about to
sorry.
say.
That's my
Jesus
positive
Christ.
racism. Sorry.
I was about
I'm
to
thinking
say-
about my grandma. That's why I made that.
Oh, Jesus, Carmen.
Grandma was always saying, go into them Russias, they're very good people.
As long as she
Oh,
said,
dear, oh,
yeah.
dear, oh, dear. This is problematic speaking.
This is problematic. We've heard
It's positive racism. I love
Is this-
Polish,
what's positive
Ukrainians,
racism?
and
I'm
Russian.
not
I
really
like
sure.
them. I don't know why. I just love them. You know.
Oh, positive racism, as
I
in you
love- I love
positively
the
treat
Russians.
somebody.
Oh,
Polish,
so like
Ukrainians.
Chinese people are better at math.
In Canada, we know that to be a certainty. Indeed. Have you
Okay.
seen white
There you go. That's
spoiled
positive.
people at their parents'
That's
house?
positive
The
racism,
Chinese
yeah.
are way smarter than we are. I'm giving them 10 points and 2 thumbs up.
But then see, the problem with that is how about if a Chinese person isn't good at math and then they feel bad about themselves for it?
Guess what?
Yeah.
I've never met a Chinese person that's not good at math. You gotta come to the place where I buy my
Okay.
groceries. They're so fast and nice, and they're like, "Dum," like throwing the bill in front of my face, and they never make a mistake, and they're super nice about it. They're the best people you could meet, and yes,
Okay.
they're really good with math.
Okay.
I admire them 8 times 100.
Positive racism.
No, they're way better at math than I am. Like, I'm definitely gonna give them
Yeah.
lauds, not myself.
I like that.
That's
I love that.
Positive racism. I love Chinese people, and especially working here. They're just like in Canada, smart, hard workers, all good.
Chinese people and George Michael.
Okay, yeah.
I love gay people. I love George Michael. I love Chinese people that are doing math, and I'm like.
What
at the
about Chinese gay people who
bottom
like
of the
George Michael?
ladder.
How are they?
I'm the
That
bottom of
must
the
be
ladder
best.
for all these people. They're all like 8 rungs higher than me.
That's like
Nobody.
hitting the lotto for you. A Chinese gay guy who
If
loves
George Michael
Michael
could do math
and
the
is
way
really good at
Chinese
math.
could, I would
Fucking
be in the
hell, man.
rapture right now. I would just like slit my
I
own throat
love
to be
this,
going to
Carmen.
heaven with George Michael and the Chinese people and the calculator taking me up to heaven. I'd be so
Oh my
happy.
god, an old Texas Instruments calculator taking you up to
Then you
heaven.
eat some poutine.
Then I would have
It's
a
a
little
poutine.
poutine with the extra like
With,
meat on
with
top.
Vladimir Putin.
If he would join me, but he won't because he's too busy getting his eyelids done and with his latest blonde wife or whatever. Which is a shame because he used to actually value intelligence, but now he just wants like young
How do you know that that blonde woman is not fucking, speaking about racist fucking positive racism, that was a bit, like how do you know, you assume that that blonde woman is not, that blonde woman is not smart?
Oh, she's probably smart, but when I know that their lips
Smart
are
enough
done,
to marry
their
a
eyes are
fucking
done, and
most
their
powerful
boobs
guy
are
in
done,
Russia, sure.
really, really intelligent, they are not. If you have your tits, eyes, and lips done really, really smart, you are not. Because you're
What
not.
about Dolly Parton?
Dolly Parton's boobs are real, so she's smart.
What?
Her boobs are real, and they have been since the 70s, if I recall correctly, which makes her like a genius, basically. Because they're massive and they're real.
Are they?
Un
I don't think
aplauso,
so.
Dolly Parton.
Are they real?
Oh yeah, they're
I
don't
believe
real.
everything that goes over
No,
Okay, no,
Dolly
I'm-
Parton's boobs are real. There's no way that someone with 2 melons that size in the 70s, that's a joke. Who would make fake boobs that big? She's too smart. She's like a Betty White, but 20 years younger.
So like if you're really really smart, you can't like be also like, you know,
If
like
you're really, really smart and
wanna-
you've had big melon boobs since you were 20, we know they're real. Her boobs
Okay.
are real.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I assumed
Oh,
it
no.
was this
Well,
fake.
Dolly
Yes,
Parton's
well.
boobs are big because they've been big since ever.
Okay.
Since ever. Yeah.
okay. So she was a little girl in,
She's not a
Pigeon Hollow.
Kardashian. Her boobs are big since ever. Yeah.
Really? Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that she said everything fake.
I thought
Oh
she
no,
did
her
too.
boobs are big. She might have actually maybe made them like more in their place now with slight adjustment or whatever, but
Yeah.
those boobs are real and they're from the 70s.
Put in like a sort of a steel infrastructure
I
to kind
actually
of
just
hold
want to
them.
hear about everybody that, like, famous and what your opinion is.
She's like
Yeah.
Raquel Welch. Yes, had nice boobs, but then made them fake. But Dolly Parton's are real. They're big. They're almost too big. That's why we know they're real.
Okay.
Really?
We've covered quite a few topics today. Actually,
oh, wow.
we've really done
and
like, quite a
honestly, I
circuit.
would bet you
A couple of topics. I like that.
Yeah, a pair of them, at least.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
pair of topics at least.
She's
all
got
real, all
some
real.
pair of topics.
All right, we're gonna listen to music. I guess we're almost done. We're done.
I guess we're done. Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
we're
been a-
done.
It's been a long day.
Done like
It's
dinner.
been yeah.
I'm in the mood for some nice juicy chicken breasts after all of this,
Ooh.
little gravy, little gravy.
Chicken and gravy.
Chicken gravy, a little collard
Winner, winner,
greens,
chicken
delicious
dinner.
biscuits. I want a delicious meal, Canadian style. A little bit of everything.
All right, we'll go to Swiss Chalet later.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Chalet.
Oh God, Swiss Chalet. Oh, why can't I be in Canada to go to Swiss Chalet on a Sunday?
What is Swiss Chalet? Is that like the corral, the golden corral?
Oh, you want to go to Swiss Chalet? Gravy,
Like a rotisserie chicken spot.
potatoes,
Oh, is it like a
chicken.
chain?
Oh,
Yeah.
is it ever? And you got your coleslaw, you got your chicken, you got your gravy, you got your drink
Ribs.
that never fills, like Coke, whatever. You want more Coke? You got more Coke.
Oh, you
Pepsi,
go and get
whatever.
it from yourself from the machine and everything.
No, they
yeah?
give it to you.
Oh, they give it to you.
In
Right.
Canada, they bring it to you and they smile when they pour it for you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like having geishas every night. It's perfect.
Okay. Right. Geishas with like carbonated sweet beverages. Oh,
This
that's
is
nice.
really
Like
temples.
nice
That's
young
awesome.
ladies and gay men, as in geishas, and
Okay.
they just keep pouring you free Coke.
And then they sing George Michael. And this is us saying goodbye today.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Carmen. And Tomas.